Hey, what's up? Thanks for watching this. My name is Rob, and today we're going to talk about personal branding because personal branding is something that all of us can use, whether you're, in college, whether you're like a 9-year-old, like that kid from Ryan's Toy Reviews, or whether you're a giant corporation. Everybody can brand themselves. But when it comes to personal branding, it's really important because you can use it as a vehicle to do anything that you want. So today, thank you for tuning into this. We're going to talk about harnessing the power of your brand, of your personal brand. So vlogging and personal branding. What can that look like? What does that mean for you? And when I put vlogging in there, I just think that online making vlogs or making something about your life or about your business or about what it is that you do or that you're doing is super important because you can use that as a vehicle in tandem with personal branding, like in-person branding that can set you apart from everybody else. So let's dive into this thing and see what we got for you. All right. So what is a personal brand? And I guess let me stop real quick, actually, just to give you some of my background. I want to make sure I do that first. As far as personal branding goes, I've been doing that since, we've all been doing that since we were born, branding ourselves in certain ways. Because anytime you're around anybody and you are the way that you are and you're presenting yourself to someone, you are branding yourself to them. That's really all that is. And for me, I've been in broadcasting for 20 years, radio DJ, almost pretty much for 20 years. And I make my own vlogs, I make my own videos, my own educational videos like this one. And I do a podcast, do marketing for companies, and I guess a bunch of different things. But a lot of that is centered around, a lot of the success that I've had is centered around the fact that I've kind of built my brand. People, at least in central Pennsylvania, know who I am, know what I stand for, and know what I do. So that helps me to, get business in my career because I've branded myself. There's not as many questions when it comes to me and who I am because I've kind of put myself out there as a certain expert in certain things, and that's my brand, and people understand that, okay? So for you to, I guess, know more about me, you can just go to robzradio.com. Obviously, the name is Rob Z. Just go to robzradio.com. So what is a personal brand? Personal branding simply is the process of creating a recognizable professional name and reputation for yourself or your company or your business. It's that simple. And the idea is, this is something that you're doing all throughout your life. Everywhere you go, with anybody you ever meet, you're branding yourself. And that might seem like I don't know how that seems to you, but some people think that's scary, that people were, that you're always kind of, I guess, being critiqued in some sort of way or being analyzed in some sort of way. We're human beings. We can't help but analyze other people whenever we talk to them, whenever we interact with them, whenever we experience them. So you're always branding yourself. Now, to do that in a professional way is a little bit more thoughtful. You're putting a little bit more direct attention into how am I presenting myself to people so that I can get a job or get into the right career that I want or get a client that I want or have my YouTube channel take off or whatever that might be. You have to be able to let those people understand who you are and have a body of content, whether them meeting you in person and getting an idea of who you are in person, or they can view what you do online to get a sense of who you are as a person, okay? So your personal brand is a combination of how you present yourself through the various means of communication that you choose and how people remember you. Let me slide myself up here. Whoa, this is fun. How people remember you after they have multiple interactions with you. Okay, so somebody experiences who you are multiple times. That starts to build your personal brand to them. Who is this person? What are they all about? What's their attitude? What are their motivations? How do they act? All of those things. How do they operate? How do they work? All those things are very important. They all build that brand. So two great personal brands do two things. Great personal brands do two things really well. Let me read that and not get ahead of myself. They build relationships and they build trust. If I had to sit here and I needed to break down if I needed to break down branding into two things, you're building relationships with people, number one, and you're building trust with people, number two. Okay, those are simple. Now, what do they mean exactly? Well, building relationships, that's super important. My hair's like wet. I just got out of the shower. It's like, is it shiny? I can't tell. Whatever. It doesn't matter. See, this is why I hate having picture-in-picture sometimes. You get distracted. This is part of my personal brand. I get distracted sometimes. But you want to build relationships and then build trust. Some people have built a relationship with you, but that relationship does not have trust in it, right? And you probably don't want to be in relationships with those people, or if you are in one, you're trying to find a way of getting out of it. And building trust is just so important, because if people trust you, they're going to hire you, they're going to buy stuff from you, they're going to want to be around you, they're going to like being around you. So the trust factor is huge. I could sit here and talk about this all day long. I could sit here and talk about why branding builds relationships and why branding builds trust all day long, and how that is going to shape your career, not just your career, but your life. You build the relationships through the brand of who you are. That brings quality people, or not very low quality people, into your life, depending on who you are and how you're building those relationships and who you're building those relationships with. Those relationships are going to reflect who you are as a person, who you are as a brand, and then they're going to build trust for you. So, if you are a good person and you're putting good information out there and you're helping people and you're trying to serve them and make sure that the information that you have is helping them become a better person, then you're going to build trust with them and they're going to do more with you. So up on the screen right now, a bunch of great personal brands. I'm sure you probably know who most of these people are, because they have built such strong personal brands. Some of them super positive, some of them not so much, and some of them are now trying to reclaim, I guess, the trust that they have built. So I would use Logan Paul as a great example of somebody who built a huge, massive personal brand, but there's tons and tons of relationships, but a lot of people lost trust in him, right? They didn't necessarily like the way that he did what he did, and he went through a lot of controversy. So now if you look at his career, he is going back through his brand, and he's trying to rebuild trust in his brand with his audience, and grow as a person, and then take himself to new levels. So you can take the fact that maybe your personal brand has not been super positive. Your personal brand has broken trust with some people and created bad relationships, but you can still go back through and fix that, and that's actually an amazing part. That's all part of a very cool journey. If you know who Gary Vee is, Gary Vaynerchuk, if you watch any of his content, that's kind of what he has always talked about, is, telling your story through your branding, through your content online. So somebody can watch your cycle, they can watch your path of where you started and where you are now, and they can follow your full journey, and that just defines your brand. He's one of those guys who's been on the internet since pretty much the internet began, started an online wine show way back in the day to where he's at now, on a mission to buy the New York Jets. You can follow his whole entire branding journey on the internet from, I don't know, when did it start, 15 years ago or something like that. So you can follow that whole journey from him. That's valuable. It's really priceless, because if you followed it and maybe you read his books and watched some of his talks online, like his seminars online in front of audiences, you get a real sense of who this person is. Okay, so these people on the screen right now, they've branded themselves, whether they even realize it or not, and whether you even realize while you're doing it or not, you're building that brand. Okay, so why is a personal brand important, and why should it matter to everybody in 2020, and really every year? But as technology gets faster, as the internet gets faster, as we're all more interconnected, it's all more important to have the brand. So remember that vlogging is a vehicle for every aspect of your life. I'm not saying you have to vlog and talk about everything in your life. If you have a family, I'm not saying you got to show your family. If you have personal stuff that you want to keep personal, that's your decision. Nobody's telling you to put everything out there, but there should be something out there documenting what you're doing, or documenting what you want people to see about your life. You can choose how to use that however you want, but I would highly suggest starting some sort of vlog. If you want to do a blog, that's fine, or have an Instagram or whatever, that is just like a photo collage of what you do and who you are. But the idea is, if you don't have something that kind of documents your journey online, how are people going to get to know you better, right? Think about a resume. When you go in, to get a job. If you're like in school right now and you graduate and you have a resume and you go in to get a job and you show them this resume and it's just a piece of paper with some information on it, how can they get a sense of who you are? They can just see what you've done. But if they can go online, I gave this is an example I'll use. There was this girl, she was in 10th grade, and I was doing like this career fair event. And I asked her what she wanted to do for a living, and she wanted to work for Disney, right? And she was like, how do I get a job at Disney? I'm only in 10th grade. How could I ensure that when I graduate, I could go get a job? And my suggestion was, and I just tried to get her to visualize this, and I'm going to try to get you to visualize this, if she would go for a job, say she's super obsessed with Disney. Okay, so right now in 10th grade, she starts making videos every week about why she loves Disney. Maybe she's talking about her favorite Disney characters, her favorite Disney movies, her favorite parts of the park. I don't know. There's a million different things. There's so many different arms and legs to Disney that you could pick a million different things. So say that she starts making videos about what she loves about it and just talks about it, right? And then, in 2 years, she graduates and goes to get a job. Or she goes to college for another 4 years. And in 6 years, she graduates and goes to get a job in Disney. So, and she's neck and neck with somebody else. Okay. And they're both on paper, on that resume they have, equal qualifications. They're both equally qualified to get that Disney job. But they look at this girl and she has 2 or 4 or 6 years of videos online talking about why she loves the Disney brand so much. And that other person she's competing with doesn't have any content online at all. Maybe they just have an Instagram or a Facebook or some sort of, TikTok account set up. But all the content is just, it's nothing that could really benefit them. It might be stuff about their family, it might be what they're doing in their life. But it doesn't have like a story to it. It doesn't have like a theme to it. But this girl has a YouTube channel where she has uploaded dozens or hundreds of Disney videos. It'd be pretty hard for her not to get that job. I'm just saying, it's going to put you above and beyond everybody else because you're putting that extra amount of work in to really show people who you are. And if there's a certain thing you want to do, or a certain industry you want to dive into, start your content and branding yourself around that industry right now because it'll benefit you in 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 years. Who knows? You just keep doing it. That's kind of what I do. You just keep doing it because people get to know you. So when you put yourself out there, they can find tons of content about you. Hopefully that content's positive. That's another piece of it. You want your branding content to really be positive and shine a positive light on you and your life and what you do. So a personal brand will elevate any and every part of your life that needs elevated. If you need to raise yourself up somehow, the personal brand can do that. It's the most powerful resume you could have. Like I said, a resume on a sheet of paper, that's one thing. But a portfolio of your passion, of your work, of who you are, that's a whole different thing altogether. Personal branding is a graduation from networking. So, a lot of people go out and network and they go to these networking meetings and you sit down and you talk to different business owners and different people who are all trying to get to know each other. But imagine you have a vlog and you've been doing content forever. People already can know you before they ever meet you. Sure, still go out and do networking. Definitely make connections and meet people, but also have something that when that person meets you, they can go home and because if they meet you and they like you, they're going to Google you or they're going to look up your name on Facebook or wherever, or Instagram, whatever platform it is. So they do that. And if you have been branding yourself properly, like in a professional kind of manner, they're going to be able to get so much of a sense of who you are. And the things that you said to them in that networking meeting, people can lie. People can BS you in any form in life. But if they find out from a networking meeting what you're about, then they go home and they find all the content online that reaffirms what they thought before, there you go. Now you've built the relationship and you've built that instant level of trust. And that is invaluable. Building that instant level of trust is so valuable. I cannot even express how important that is. And, you might be able to say, well, hey, you could make content and just kind of fake who you are. You could do that. But if you keep making content, and you keep making videos, and you keep making things online that show who you are, you can't fake so much content. That's exhausting unless you're a sociopath or something like that. It's really hard to fake all of that. Okay, so it's really important to remember. And you must talk in your community, and you must create online content. So you can't, I wouldn't just have one or the other. Back in the day, sure, you just had personal things in your community, networking, and things like that to brand yourself. But now with social media, it's just a vehicle that speeds things up to 1,000 miles per hour, and it's very beneficial. Okay, so personal brands, you already are one, so why not maximize it? We all are branding ourselves constantly, every single day, every interaction you have, you're branding yourself. And also think about this, you're branding yourself to yourself. Don't forget that you are also shaping and experiencing your personal brand, okay? Because you have to live with you. You have to deal with you. So you get to, you're the first one to experience what your brand is all about. People are seeing you at every stage of your life. So whether you're watching this in college or you're watching this and you have a career, it doesn't matter. Wherever you're at in life, people are experiencing you. Maybe I should have changed the word seeing to experiencing. So at every stage of your life, they're experiencing who you are, so they are getting a sense of what your brand is all about. Some questions to help you identify your personal brand. Okay, so if this is all an overwhelming amount of information, I just branded myself right here, right? I got a Sublime shirt on, so like I'm a '90s kid, This is the music that I grew up with. I didn't even realize I'm wearing this shirt until right now. But that's this. I'm branding myself as I'm in my 30s. I've got gray hair. That's branding me, right? I have my name on my microphone. That's branding me. This whole thing's it's all branding. You're processing who I am while we're going through this. So some questions to help you identify your personal brand. Answer these questions for yourself. And don't look at this as a test, okay? Don't look at this video as something that's, look at this as like an opportunity. If you can switch things that seem like roadblocks, or they seem like something you don't feel like doing, and you can turn it into something that is beneficial to you. I'm trying to, through this video, hopefully help you grow and help you awaken maybe a new part of yourself that you never thought of before. I never thought of myself as a personal brand. I never thought that I would be able to do this and put myself out there for other people to see. Think about it right now. Like, this is important, and coming down the road as your life goes on, you're going to like revisit this stuff. And honestly, people might never talk about personal brands to you ever again in your life. Who knows? Depending on what kind of industry you're in. So if you take this and you start working on it and you apply it, you're going to be so much further ahead than so many other people, especially when you're out there trying to get a job, okay? So answer these questions. And I would sit down by yourself and answer these, because you can't answer these right now, right? You can write these down, you could screenshot this, but you can't answer these right now, because these are things you got to think about. What makes you unique as a person? What are your goals? What do you want to do? And you may have never even had somebody ask you that question. You may have never answered that question. So that might be something for you to really think about. What are your goals? Who is your audience? Who is the audience you're talking to? And think about that in a personal brand aspect. Okay, so I'm this certain age. I want to be in this industry. These are the things that I'm interested in. Who is my audience based on all of that? Okay. How can you add value to people's lives with your own unique personality? I think the great thing about personal branding is you can talk about, and you see this on social media. I see it. You can talk about the same thing as somebody else. You can have the same education. You can have the same information. You can have the same presentation of information as somebody else, but your unique personality will set you apart and will determine for some people. I use this example when I'm having marketing clients or consulting. I could approach somebody with information on how to do digital marketing. A competitor could approach somebody with the same information on digital marketing, but the person who's going to hire us as their client, they are going to pick based on personality. If you're neck and neck with somebody on information, anybody can get information. Anybody can have knowledge. Anybody can learn that. But your own unique personality, that is uniquely to you, and nobody else can be that. So when you think about the personal brand, it's really like your own unique personality. That's so important to remember. That's so important to keep in your head. Now think about, who do you admire? Study positive people that get your attention. That's super important. You must do this. You got to don't just sit there and mindlessly watch YouTube videos. Don't just sit there and mindlessly listen to music. Start studying those people. Who are they as a person? Why do they do what they do? How do they do it? You can dig so deep into somebody's life now because of online content. I'll go back and use Gary Vee as an example, or maybe Tai Lopez is another example. People who have put thousands of hours of video content of themselves online. You can go and study them forever and really, really figure out who they are. That's super important. And also, what makes them reliable? What makes them trustworthy? And if you're listening to, if you're paying attention to somebody a lot and you realize that you don't trust them or they're not reliable, then that's a bad example of a personal brand, and you need better examples. Okay. So some major keys, just before we wrap this thing up, because I don't want to hit you with too much information, but these are major keys. Speaking of DJ Khaled, when you think of major keys, you think of DJ Khaled, right? That's an amazing personal brand that he basically did all on Snapchat, right? So be genuine. Be genuine. Make sure you're telling a story. And you don't have to think about this as like a movie, but you can think about it as a story. Like, what story am I telling with my life? What story am I telling with my content? Post a positive impact. Create a positive impact. You know, whenever you're putting your content out there, have it be positive and have it add value to people's lives. I cannot express how important that is, to make sure that when you're branding and you're creating something, that it's positive and it's impacting people. Even if you're making comedy and you're doing funny stuff, you're helping people by making them laugh and giving them a sense of humor. Don't build and base your brand around tearing people down. That's a terrible idea, and it's going to backfire on you. Follow a successful example, and then be consistent. Man, be consistent. If I could hit you with one thing, be consistent. I'm telling you right now, that's the most important part. You can do this a little bit. You can brand yourself a little bit online. You can create some stuff, and you might have it out there, and you know, somebody could view a couple of things of what you've done. But if you are consistent and you are either daily or weekly or monthly, I would go from like start creating monthly, and then as you get good at that, create weekly. As you get good at that, try to create multiple times a week or daily. That's consistency. That's going to really change the game, and it's just going to reaffirm you, and it's going to help you get into better practice of becoming a better, consistent brand. Okay. So strategies to brand: make sure that you're invested in it. Tell your story. Document your work. So document that journey you're going through. Show your dedication to what you're doing and what your brand is about, and be disciplined in doing it. You know, most people will try this. They'll do a little bit. They'll fall off track. The people who stay disciplined and keep doing it are going to have the success, are going to see the real results. Okay. And when I say make sure you're invested, listen, let me move where's my mouse? Let me move my head here real quick. Where's my mouse at? There we go. Oh geez. Presentation's falling apart. Here we go. If you're not excited about the career field that you're going into, branding is going to be hard. So if you're sitting here right now and you're going into a career and you just are going into it for the money, or because your parents told you to, or because you didn't know what else to pick, so you just picked something, it's going to be really hard to brand yourself around that thing, because it's going to be hard to get excited about that thing. That's just a fact. It's just going to be difficult to brand because you're not going to be excited about talking about it. So you got to pick things that you are passionate and excited about. If you don't do that, you're really setting yourself up to have a difficult time. Think about that. I'm not going to sit here and rail on that, but you got to think about that, because that's super important to the whole process of how the brand works. So I challenge you to take some next steps, okay? I never liked homework when I was in school, so I'm not going to call this homework. I'm just going to call it the next step in your evolution of branding yourself, because I would love to hear your answers, and I would love to help you more, honestly. If you need more help, if you want more information about this, and if you want more clarity on this, like I said, I've been doing broadcasting for 20 years. I've had a podcast for over 5 years with over 400 episodes. I've made hundreds of videos with myself and other people in them. I have, been marketing for companies. I've been marketing for myself. I could help if you need help. Okay, so take the next step. Answer these questions for me. What is one skill that you have? And this might be a question you've never thought about, you've never thought of answering before. So I want you to tell me one skill that you have. That's going to be big just for you to figure that out. What is one future goal for your life? What is something you want to accomplish? What is a benchmark that, in the future, I want to be this? What is that goal? And what is one subject or topic that interests you? Think about like if somebody said, hey, you have to go give a speech on stage. You have to talk for 1 hour. We'll let you pick whatever you want. You'd want to pick something you're really interested in because you'd know a lot about it and then you could talk a lot about it. Or if you're with your friends on like a Saturday night and they gave you, like if they said to you, hey, we want you to pick a topic tonight and we'll talk about that topic all night long. What would you pick? Something you're super passionate, you love talking about, you think about all the time. What is that one subject or topic, okay? That's going to help to sharpen and direct and define that personal brand even more. DM me those answers. If you answer these 3 questions, when you answer them, don't just shoot an answer off. Like think about it a little bit. Send me those 3 answers on my Instagram, Rob Z Radio. Just send me a DM and I'll check them out and I will answer them. And there's this great podcast. I've listened to this podcast so many times, and it's been super valuable for me to understand my brand. There's this guy, Ed Mylett. So Ed Mylett, Mylett. Ed Mylett. This podcast is so good. It's all about creating a massive movement. It's all about, this is just a expert video on branding. So go search for his podcast, Ed Mylett, and find that one. The title is How to Create a Massive Movement. Look that up. Just Google it. It's so good. You'll learn so much from it, okay? If you want to learn more, after you answer those 3 questions, you want to talk to me more, you want to ask me more questions, just DM me, okay? Once again, you can email me, rob@robzradio.com, or you can DM me on Instagram @robzradio, okay? Let me go back to me. Wow, I'm really washed out, aren't I? Holy cow, I didn't realize how washed out it was. Anyways, before I go, one more thing. If you're interested in more, if you want more, Donald Miller, Building a Story Brand, an amazing book. This book is so simple. This book can define a branding story so easily and help to clarify so much more. So also check that out. Check that podcast out by Ed Mylett. Check out this book by Donald Miller. And thanks for watching this. I hope to hear from you on Instagram. Rob Z Radio on Instagram. DM me or email me, rob@robzradio.com. All right. Thanks for watching. See ya.